Let us start with axle and disc. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Where you have seen a disc friction, this is one example of this. Yes, yes, yes. Your granite polishing that you do at your home, okay, while construction is at place. Okay, so this is a disc friction. Okay, okay, so yes, it is there on your disc brake in your cycle also nowadays. Yes, 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 yes. And what is axle friction? If it is a wheel which is sitting on this, there is a friction inside also. Okay, if it is holded, okay, so that is axle. So axle is where your cycle rim is fitted. Okay, whole of the cycle is there. So that axle gets into two sides bearings. Okay, so there may be that friction also that exists. So anyway, so these are the two types of friction that we are going to deal now. Okay, so now thrust bearing. What is thrust bearing? Thrust bearing, it takes the load vertically in the direction of axis of the bearing. Okay, it takes the load, it takes any pressure which is along the axis of the bearing, and it simultaneously allows it to rotate. Got it? So this is a type of thrust bearing. You have a disc bearing also. This is a disc bearing also. So where is the contact point? This is the contact point. Okay, where all the thrust is taken. Okay, so in that case, this is the place of friction. This is rotating, this is the friction place. Okay, and in case of collar bearing is also similar. In this case, these are the points of contact. So there is an annular ring. So this is the point of contact. Okay, that is where you see reaction forces, and that is taken care of this. Hope you got it. So this is known as a collar bearing. This is known as a end bearing. End bearing is there in case of IC engine also, sometimes to take up any axial jerks. Okay, mostly in case of propellers. If it is IC engine of a ship, it pushes, IC engine itself pushes the whole of the ship. So you have to have a crankshaft that ends with a thrust bearing over here. Okay, so anyway, so that padding is there always. If it gets weared out, you have to change that. So anyway, so this is how it is, and these are some important types of bearing that sees this. Maybe in your numerical, you may be given directly this term and you are expected to know that beforehand. So this is why I introduced you to this. So let us now begin analysis of a disc friction now. Okay, so how that is done? So you have a small elemental piece. Let me zoom it out further for you. Okay, so this is how it looks like. So now you understood what I am going to do. A small elemental piece at a distance r I have taken. Okay, at a distance r I have taken. Okay, on that you see a small elemental force that comes, because normal reaction is evenly distributed throughout this surface area in contact, is it not? So, and that is not uniformly distributed, it depends on the area how it is distributed. So anyway, so let us say it is a small elemental area delta A that sees a force delta F. Inner radius is R1, outer radius is R2. Okay, P is the thrust that is coming on, M is the moment that is trying to drive this. Okay, so this is one view. If you look from this, it is something like this. Okay, hope you got it. Okay, so now, yes, okay. So force P acts over the area A, that is an annular space that I have just drawn. So it is R2 is the bigger radius area and the smaller area extracted out. So this is the effective area on which whole of this force is acting. Is it not? Okay, so delta N, how much will be? Will that be? So it is P into small elemental area by total area this, got it? So that will be your smaller elemental normal force, is it not? So that normal force can now be given as frictional force, can now be given using this over here is mu k. This shaft is running, okay, this shaft is running, so it is kinetic friction, not a static friction, mind it. So it is friction is equal to mu k times of delta n. So moment, small moment that this elemental volume, this elemental area is taking care of is force F, that is the frictional force against the driving force. So it is R times of F. Hope you got this one. This equation you got it. Moment, elemental moment that is taken care of by this elemental piece is R times of delta F. Delta F is opposite to the direction of motion. Okay, so delta F is mu k times of delta n. Delta n is calculated like this. So now, yes, yes, it is uniformly distributed throughout this area. This force acts over the area A. So using that pressure it is calculated. Is it not? It is uniformly distributed. It is uniformly distributed. Unitary method here. Come on. Yes, you can do that differential. You know, more knowledge is dangerous here. You can simply do unitary method. Is small school day is mathematics. Just do arithmetic. Don't do calculus now. At least we'll do it. Don't worry. We'll do it. Okay, so this is a small moment, substituting all those, I can quickly obtain this. Okay, so for this infinitesimally small element, area is this for infinitesimal. Now calculus has started. Okay, so delta A is equal to R delta theta. So how that is calculated? Small elemental area, this area, how is that calculated? A is equal to R d theta, right? So if you do dA by dr, effectively you will get this only. Okay, so that is how it is done. So anyway, so now quickly you obtain dA is equal to this, and now I will do double integration of this. Why? Because you have two things, that is theta is also varying from 0 to 360 degree 2 pi, radius is varying from r1 to r2. Okay, I will substitute everything here now. Okay, so dA will go here, moment will be dm integrated all over, so that gives me total moment. Okay, dm integrated all over the disk will give you m, so total moment will be equal to this. Hope you agree with this. I have just taken substituted this to this and I got this. Everything else is a constant, mu is constant, external force is constant, radii are constant, pi is constant. It is integrated over twice, r1 to r2, 0 to 2 pi, r here and r here makes it r square, dr and d theta. Hope that is quite okay. Fine. So let us move ahead with this. What we'll get? You can quickly do this. This I assume you all can do it in no time. So I got it something like this. So this is the moment which can be transferred with this type of disk. Okay, annular disk. R1 can be equal to 0 in case of thrust bearing. Collar bearing is a special case of thrust bearing. Is it not? Collar bearing you have R1 and R2. If you remember your first picture, so this is your collar bearing. You have, yes, so this is completely R2, R1. So one of them is equal to, inner one is equal to 0. Outer one remains. So that is a special case of collar bearing. So you got this. So this equation holds true for both of them. Okay. So in case of a solid shaft, it turns out to be this. So same, I have put one of them, R1 is equal to 0, and that gives me this, and R2 is equal to R. This will quickly give you this. So this is in case of thrust bearing. Okay, and mind it, this is kinetic friction. This is the external load. R is the radii of that bearing. This is the moment that can be transferred. Okay, now there is another type of bearing which is known as an axle bearing. This is a pedestal bearing or a pillow block bearing. It is used to transmit loads. It is used to transmit load from this shafts, intermediate loads of this shaft. If this shaft is going to be very long, you don't just need supports at the ends, you may also need supports somewhere in between, is it not? So that it doesn't sag. Okay, so that it doesn't sag. So that is the reason it is there. So bearing looks like this, and there is a journal bearing. Inside is some self-lubricating material most of the time. Over here it is shown as a brass. You may have a graphite lining over there. You may have a white metal lining like a IC engine, huge IC engine. Okay, or a bush. It is like a bush also. Normally in two pieces, so that you don't need to dismantle everything. When you can just open up these bolts and top cover can be removed. Okay, and you can put it from bottom and the top, and it can be fitted anywhere in between. Okay, so there are many practical aspects of this. These are mostly used in crankshaft of an IC engine. IC engine has multiple cylinders, okay, and single thing. So you have a cylinder here, you have a cylinder here. So there are many intermediate bearings. Finally the shaft is there, and you may have a thrust bearing over here. Okay, so these bearings, no, they have axial friction. Friction is on this surface. Okay, and again what we have assumed, so this is for camshaft, crankshaft, long transmission, rotating shafts. Compressors also may have multiple cylinder on the single crankshaft. So there also you may see this. So anyway, those are the applications. So how they are oriented, this figure tells you most of the thing, this center one. Okay, so what I have assumed, or normally is assumed, is there is a clearance. There is a clearance, and your shaft is not 100% tight fit with this. So there is a clearance. So if at all you are rotating in this direction, where it is shown, you are rotating in this direction, what happens? This rotating shaft tends to ride upon that outer circular surface, is it not? Will it be there? Can you imagine this? A rolling wheel tends to ride upon a hill. So this becomes your hill. Okay, this is your rolling wheel. So it tends to ride upon that. Okay, so that is what has happened. There is a clearance which is shown also. Got it? So now what all forces that will act? So I assume, yes, a rotating wheel rides upon a wheel on a hill. So this is your surface. If this is rotating, it will not ride up. Yes, so that is what is happening. So you don't have this surface as a flat one, rather this also is a circular one and it is riding up. Okay, so that is what is happening here. You have two shafts. Outer one is supporting the inner rotating shaft. Got it? Okay, so the rotating shaft has a weight that is acting downwards, that is W, and a moment which is getting transferred given by M. Okay, and now this is the normal force. I assume there is a point contact. So normal force will always be in direction tangential to this, perpendicular to the tangent which is here. Is it not? At the point of contact, you draw a tangent, draw a normal. So this should be your normal force. Okay, so that is what. Again, you have a friction force that is acting tangential in this direction. If it is rotating like this, friction force will be like this, is it not? So this is your friction, this is your normal. So effectively you will see this normal force on this body I have to draw. just a sec. Okay, so this is your force that comes on this. So effectively this is making your resultant force R in this way. Okay, now this R will take care of everything. Okay, so let us see what all forces which are involved now. Okay, how these forces can be balanced with horizontal and vertical balance. You know what I am going to do next. Okay, now that you have understood this figure, understood how it is, how the mechanism is, how it is working, now it is just the equation of moment and force balances. Okay, so that is what we'll do now and get everything. So now, when a free body diagram of the rotor itself, okay, so this is your kinetic friction, again this is continuously rotating. Okay, so what I have assumed now, there is a little bit of twist now. So in order to balance something which is given by moment, so what I have assumed, this R force effectively is also creating a moment, is it not? That also will create a moment. Okay, so there is a RF, that is the effective distance from the center. Okay, so that is where it is actually acting, and that is creating the same moment as the moment which is externally applied on this shaft, and both the moments should balance. Okay, so that is what is taken here. So what similar over here, what you will do, what is that? It is directly equal to moment. If you take it this way, it should be equal to r sine k, r of sine k, this one, times of r, small radius, okay, times of, this is your rotating body, no, this r is your rotating body. Okay, so forget everything. Okay, that is the external thing that is happening. Shaft is actually this one. If I can draw well, so this is your shaft, forget about whatever else is there, those radii has got nothing to do. That is the place where reactions are happening. This is the radius where everything is happening. Okay, so that is what is R. So that is acting here. Hope you got it. Yes, this movement comes due to the external. There may be a pulley, there may be a belt, I don't care, but movement effectively comes to this shaft which is having friction on this surface. Okay, yes please, any query you can come. Where it is written, it is vertical here. Yes, it is. It is like this. It is like this. You know why? You know why? Because there is a vertical force also that is acting from the top. So I have taken components which are in this direction. So if you remember your angle of repose thing, so that is why it is there. Okay, so don't forget your basics from where we have come till here. Okay, so anyway, so this is a lubricated journal bearing. Mu k is very small, so that makes, if mu k is very small, journal bearing, you remember, journal bearing is lubricated one. Mu k is really very small. When you can ignore this angle, so that becomes equal to mu k. So sine theta is nearly equal to tan theta. Hope you remember why this is always there. Tan theta and sine theta both are same. Hypotenuse is almost equal to the base. Okay, perpendicular. Yes, yes. So that is the case, a standard assumption that we have been making since long time now. So that is equal to mu k, and that makes this. So simply this will be mu k. This will be mu k and r mu k r. Capital R mu k into small r. Small r is the radii, r is the reaction force. Oh, okay, and this. So now circle of friction. What is circle of friction? So this is a term which is used in commonly in this context, that is axial friction, which is known as circle of friction. So effectively where it is acting, okay, so that is known as a circle of friction. So that is RF. Okay, this is the third figure that I am referring to now. Forget these two, now it is this one. Okay, so this is what effectively the point radii from where this force may be assumed to pass through so as to create and balance the external moment. So that is what is circle of friction. It is given by this. So and that is equal to Rf will be equal to R sine mu k, R sine mu k, and that is equal to R times of mu k. Got it? So this is how it is. Okay, so these are few terms. Okay, so that is to be got in mind. And then rolling resistance in case of rolling friction. This is another thing, not even axial friction or a disc friction. This is something which is there in your cycle if you are running it on a sand. Okay, let us say you have some sort of dip which has happened. Okay, so your tire has gone into the sand by this much distance. Okay, so that is what is coming here now. So how this type of friction can be taken care of? Okay, so you have radius of the wheel standard, that is there. B is this width. B is the width that goes from here to here. Okay, where you can assume your normal reaction is effectively acting. You don't know where it is, okay, but effectively it is acting at a distance B. Okay, it is at a B. W is the vertical load supported by this, and P is the horizontal force by which you are trying to push this wheel. Okay, that is, and to keep the speed constant. Okay, so using moment balance you can see P into R, P into R. Okay, I assume this dip is very small. So P into R, R is the distance, that is what is creating some this type of couple. Is it not? And W into B. Let me wipe it off a bit. W into B is counterclockwise moment. Okay, so that is there. So this is the this and you have this. So about point B, if you see this should be the case. Okay, so W into B should be equal to P into R. That makes P effort that will be required will depend on WB by small r. What is B? B is commonly known as coefficient of rolling friction. It is actually effectively the dip that has happened, and the chord that connects those two dip points is this. Okay, physically if you can imagine it is like this, but it is not always the case. Okay, it can even be your tire which is having low pressure. It is not always the surface which gets deformed, the lower surface. It can also be your wheel which is getting deformed, and still this same equation will hold true. Got it? So a puncture cycle or a sand running on a metal rolls. Okay, it is both the same. That's all. Okay, so I think we that's all should be quite good enough. Okay, so that's all for this. So that's all. Thanks. So I won't continue with numericals on this. I hope you got this.